Welcome to Brixen in northern Italy for the 5th round of the IFSC Boulder World Cup. 4 out of tonight's 6 finalists have never been in a final, so expect anything to happen here tonight. My name is Matt Groom, and I'm joined in the commentary box by coach and expert Danon Markey. Danon, I mean, it's amazing to be here in Brixen, and that is our bouldering wall. Heck of an atmosphere going on tonight.
It is a lovely day. It's been glorious sunshine all throughout, and now it's getting to that perfectly cool temperature where people are going to be very psyched to climb hard.
Absolutely. The sun in the morning was right on that front of the lead wall. Now it's dipped behind the hills and it's left us some shade to climb in here this evening. Tonight's just the women's finals, and that's where we are in the season. Brixen added late, last minute, couple of months to plan this. We're off to Innsbruck next, and then Villars, Chamonix, Briançon, and the rest follow after that. So about midway through our season, of course, we started in Europe, we went to South Korea, we went to America, and now we are back in Europe. So, Dan, we watched the semi-finals earlier this morning. It was a powerful round, and we're about to watch some highlights here this evening. What were your impressions of that semi-finals?
I have to say it was a very interesting set. I think the last few competitions have been almost a similar style of set, very coordination with a mix of power, but this set has been more static and very, very focused on power, and then utilizes some really interesting body positions that require flexibility that not quite everyone has. And so we've seen that represented now in the lineup. 4 athletes who we wouldn't have normally expected. There are some big names out there that we expect to be in the final, and they're not. And I think it is because of this new style of setting that appeared today, and now we get to see the result of it.
Absolutely, and we've missed out on a few big names, and that's one of them. Fanny Gibert not making it through, came close, but Natalia Grossman, that lady there, looking for her 4th gold in a row this season. She's wiping the floor with everyone at the moment after Janja went away from the Maringin comp. So, Natalia Grossman, the lady to beat, but we have 6 other women who are going to be giving her a tough time all the way. And as we said, 4 of them have never made a final, and we've got some real unknown athletes out here tonight. So, it's going to be interesting. Don't go anywhere, and thank you for joining us as our MCs take to the stage. So, the athletes will be being announced, called onto the front of the stage. And Darren, I mean, you've coached teams before. What do you try to tell athletes in this moment? How do you instruct them to keep the nerves at bay?
Oh, that is a very difficult question to answer. Essentially, it does come down to each individual athlete, and it's very important that a coach has a very personal relationship with the athlete, because different athletes have different ways of settling their nerves or calming themselves. Some athletes don't want to hear from the coach. They put their headphones in, and that's it. Coach maybe briefs them 30 minutes before. Some athletes need that presence as they get up and going. And again, this is something that people have to learn over time. The coach won't know the best way to do it. The athlete won't know how they're going to be best calmed down. So more finals is going to allow both parties to learn the best way to go about this.
And of course, more finals is not what 4 of our athletes have. This is their first time. I mean, the nerves for them. I mean, if you're Natalia Grossman, if you're Miho Nanaka, you've done this. You understand what being on this stage is like. People like Hannah Moyle, Jelu Lau, who's 16, her first finals, their nerves are surely going to be out of control back there in the ISO area.
I can't imagine. It must be exceptionally interesting. But a few of those athletes, particularly Jelu Lau, she looked so composed during semi-finals. Everyone was wondering, who is this? Why does she look so comfortable and strong? How is this happening?
Yeah, exactly. And who is this is not a lack of research. Jelu Lau, 16, and pretty much unknown on the climbing circuit. There are no stats. There's very little in the way of Instagram pictures of what she does, and we're pulling at straws, and that's what makes this final so interesting, because we have no idea how she's going to perform.
Anyone looking at the pages or the stats will think, well, she's not going to win, but if you watched her climb in semi-finals, you're actually thinking twice now that this woman has a decent chance of putting in a good effort today.
Absolutely. Well, there's our first athlete out on stage, Anon Matsufuji. Her first finals. It's good to see her competing. She had a solid semi-finals performance. She's 18. So another younger athlete and part of a very strong team, Japan. Sarika Okuwachi, she joins her teammate standing next to her. Sarika She's been around for a while, 24 years old, but she hasn't been competing for a while. 2019 in Munich was her last competition. And there she is, Jailu Lau, 16, and as you can see, not that experienced in all the formalities of a final, but that's what makes it so brilliant to watch. So 3 out of the 6 are standing on stage. Hannah Moyle, she'll be next out from Team Germany. Dan, Hannah, she came away from the off-season and seems to be putting in a lot of time, a lot of effort training hard, and it's paying off for her.
It is definitely paying off, both in her strength but in her climbing style as well. I've really seen it develop. She's so controlled on the wall. It is very interesting to watch, and she's just found this in the last year or two. Came very close to qualifying for the Olympics, and now she's getting to show what she's capable of in the World Cup season.
Yeah, she has a new level of determination about her this year that I haven't seen before. Miho Nanaka, of course, she made the Olympics last time around. Had a bit of a shaky start to the season by her standards, but now she's back in the finals and qualifying in 2nd place for this. And the differences in Hannah Moyle's face and Miho Nanaka's face, there's different kind of nerves going on there.
Definitely still there, but for sure it's a slightly different experience for them, I can be sure.
Well, finally, Natalia Grossman will enter through the curtain on the left. She is the standout star of this year's Boulder IFSC World Cup. She's won 3 in a row. Can she make it 4 here tonight in Brixen? That smile on her face. We see it so often, doesn't matter if she's bouldering or lead climbing, it's always there. So that is our top 6. The men will be out tomorrow, the men's semi-final and final taking place then. And I quite like this split, this way of doing it. It allows, for me anyway, just to really focus on the action in front of us rather than having 8 athletes taking place.
Yeah, it does give a bit of breathing room for the whole event and the whole competition. And we get to give each section of athletes their own time. We get to say, today is the women's day, tomorrow is the men's day. It really does give them a bit of dedication.
Yeah, especially during semi-finals when it's always hectic. There are only 4 athletes out on the mat tonight, this afternoon. So we're minutes away now from our competition beginning, but let's look back at the observation period. The athletes get 2 minutes per boulder to look at them. They get to discuss it amongst themselves, and sharing beta is always important in this. Although they're competing against each other, they do chat. And interesting to see Team Japan grouped together. Jailu Lau slightly separate, and Natalia there just asking some advice from Miho. But Dana, this is a good time to talk about these boulders. What's your impression of the 4 climbs out there tonight?
So far, not incredibly cryptic, but certainly a bit more powerful. I think that would be a general way of putting it. But we do potentially have some surprises, in particular this slab. We're not sure what way it could go. It could be incredibly difficult, or could be one that shows some athletes have more skills than others.
Absolutely. You can see Natalia really trying to find any grip on the edge of that. You're allowed to touch the first hold, get your starting position sorted out. So the athletes had their chance to look, and they left the stage and then called back on. You can see the official ushering them out. So let's have a look at our top 6. Anan Matsufuji, she will be out first. Sarika Okawachi, Jailu Lau, that 16-year-old, Hannah Moyle, Miho Nanaka, and Natalia Grossman. We keep saying 16, but I mean, the women's competition is generally quite a young field. And we're at this point in climbing where 16 isn't really considered that young anymore. You know, we get a lot of people, I'm thinking Alexander Totkova coming through at 16. It's becoming more of the norm.
This is definitely just a big shift in the sport of climbing as a whole. We've seen this massive explosion in the number of commercial walls, and now the sport's getting treated more seriously. People are training for it at a younger age, and this is new. We aren't seeing this now as a shift towards.
Absolutely. Well, talk us through this first boulder. This is our lovely 3D rendition of it. What have we got in store for us?
Well, here you can see a good start into a pocket. Looks like we might get a 360 figure 4, something interesting, and then across into the zone. And I'm quite excited for this black hole down left. You have to paste on the wall completely. That top left pink hole has been switched in order to make the method a bit more obvious. It was cryptic before, but the setters thought it's actually very, very hard, so we'll not let them think too hard about it and just let them try harder.
There seems to be a step up from the semi-finals. I think some people were, I mean, it wasn't an easy semi-finals, but we saw a lot of tops, and the boulders were fairly sort of straightforward. This finals looks like a different proposition to me. And on, running out to get things started. She's not allowed to face the wall until told, so we are underway here for our finals. And Anon takes a moment just to remember the boulder. It was a couple of minutes ago she looked at it now, and that clock down and ticking down for 4 minutes.
Now, let's see how she commits to the start. It is a relatively solid start. We've seen a lot of competitions where it's a shaky, risky start, and that shakes up the competitor. This, with good holds, you can move quite solidly. So let's see now if that will allow them to get further into the boulder.
Now this is this 360 move you were talking about. There you can see facing the audience.
Dead hang on such a small crimp there.
So Anon making quick work through to the zone. That is the zone hold, the first scoring opportunity on the wall. The best score is when the athletes finish a boulder, they get to the top of it, and they control the final hold. And as few attempts as possible. If you do it first go, you get the best score, and that's what Anon's up for here. This is her first go, the flash attempt. What can she do for this final sequence? As you were saying, no feet at all.
I love this foot paste. It is so powerful in the arms. You have to pull to really drive those feet into the wall. It's really impressive, and she's there for quite a while now at this stage.
See, it's smearing the rubber of her shoes onto that, and now pressing up with that left hand. She's doing fantastically well on this flash attempt, right into the corner. That left shoulder pushing as the right drives downwards.
She just needs to drive that right hip into the wall. It looks like it was almost there, but not quite.
So Anon coming close, but having to reassess near the top. If she did anything wrong during that attempt, why didn't she top out that move? What was in terms of her body movement and positioning?
Just locked in on that left shoulder. She needs to extend that left arm out in order to get into a position where her center of gravity, as you would say, over the right foot, and then she's comfortable to move to the top hole. But so powerful in that position. There's a couple of ways you can do it. One of them is to just turn on your tricep like a machine and push it out. Another is to really maneuver the hips. And it looked like in order to help both of that, she wanted to twist right into the wall. That would allow her in a better position to push away and get the center of gravity over the foot.
Of course, a big push like that is quite a full body physical movement, and she's already done that sequence where she's padding on the wall, she's having to use those biceps, those big muscles. It's a big ask at the end of this climb.
Exactly. And she was there on that black hole for so long, feet pasting on nothing, that drains you quick.
I think she is, because she's really weighting the clock down here. We're coming up to a minute and a half. She's choosing to rest, because she's got the beater down. I mean, she's one hold away here. She knows what she has to do. She is taking her time, 1 minute 15.
You can almost tell sometimes the athletes don't quite want to get back on, because it was such an intense process they just went through.
And it's a gamble when you wait that long. You've only got 4 minutes. You're sort of like, if it goes wrong, and it has gone wrong, so she's got a minute to start pulling things back.
Now, this was not a quick boulder, especially that last move, so she's going to have to get through there quite quick. But she knows if she doesn't have the energy, then there's no point in getting on, so she's taking her time to look at the clock.
When we talk about athletes timing their boulders properly, and again, it is an experience thing, so these 4 finalists who haven't made a final before, will they be able to time it correctly? We'll see. But Anon's back on into this 360. She spins, looking for that blind crimp. She doesn't get. And with 24 seconds, I think she's going to call it. So Anon will leave the stage. The athletes don't have to use all of their time. And with 3 more boulders to go, she will have made a decision to save skin, to save energy. That is our packed crowd here tonight, and it's been a lot of fun. This town decided to host it last minute. It was all a bit of a scramble, but what a job they have done, our hosts here in Brixen.
It's a really beautiful facility here, surrounded by walls in the middle of the mountains. It's quite a nice place, really, and the weather couldn't be better.
No, it's been glorious. And right now the temperature has cooled. It was around about 30 degrees earlier on during the semi-finals. It's difficult conditions, but now nigh on perfect for these athletes. So Sarika Okawachi is out on stage.
Our first athlete was in 3 competitions before. Now this one in 4. It really shows that the training regimes are so good. These athletes are all capable of this level. And now we have seen these athletes without so much experience have made their way to a final.
Yeah, and it's an indication of the depth of that Japanese squad. They have so many members, and she is working hard on that pocket in order to make the match. Doesn't do the swing.
Very, very difficult match. Your fingers crushing each other trying to get in there.
Breaking the beater a little bit. The route setters ideally would have wanted them spinning, but it works. You don't have to do it the way they think you should do it.
Really impressive. That left crimp is considerably worse than the right, and she just yarded off it.
So out to the black volume, and this is, oh, the slippy part of the route. You can see that right foot sliding down the wall. Brings a high right foot in order to get stood up.
Amazing flexibility. Many people wouldn't be able to put their foot right up there.
This is one of those boulders where you walk away and you realize your whole arm is covered in grazes, and you've got to put everything into it. Then you can see, look, her forearm being used.
Wasn't able to get up through there. For the most part, she was trying to hang left on that hold, which is how it suggests. That's where the chuck is. That's sort of the direction you need to be to make it work. But the actual method is to turn and push off a bit. And I think she realized that towards the end, but she lost a lot of energy trying to hang and pull on the hold.
Yeah, taking deep breaths still on stage. Look at those. Just trying to de-pump her arm, shaking out, trying to get rid of that feeling in your forearm when it feels like you can't close your fist anymore. That's what she's experiencing right now.
She had to grip those first holds exceptionally hard. When matching through that pocket, probably most of her body weight was on 1 or 2 fingers at a time. And then she comes through, first crimp's good, second crimp, which she ended up matching, is very bad. She lifted her whole body off of that and campused out towards the next hold.
And Sarika, like her teammate, choosing to rest and wait. Must be very difficult not to get affected by the crowd. The crowd just, cheering them on, wanting them to get cracking with the climbing, and you have to ignore that, put it to one side and wait till you're ready. She does. Look at the clock there. Minute 36. Will she do this tricky match or
attempt another method for the start?
I mean, that 360 looked like the easier method of the two.
It did definitely look like the easier method, particularly in bouldering though. If you make it work once, often it's best to just go with that method. Especially if you're timing it so you've only really got 2 attempts.
It looks like she is going to match. And this is what we were talking about, trying to fix all her hands into that pocket.
Crushing her own fingers, pulling so hard on bad holds.
I mean, that in itself is a tiring move, and now she's got the hardest bit to come. Toe hooks on that volcano hold, and makes a big swing off the crimp. So, high right foot up now. Resting a little bit in that splits position. The wall, slightly different angle for her left foot, and doesn't make it work. 36 seconds on the clock.
Well, we did see Anon pull on with about this much time before, so she will consider it, but I don't know if this is the... No, changing her mind, not today. Save some energy for the next boulders. You could see how physically tired she was through that first section. So powerful, so trying to bump the fingers, match on the bad crimps. It was really a lot.
She's still trying to shake the pump out of that right hand. I think she might have sort of painful on the fingers, that one. So, 2 athletes, 4 attempts. This is a paced first boulder and a real indication to us how powerful these are. Often, especially in a finals, you get athletes going again and again and again, trying to get the zone hold, trying to finish things off. But this boulder proving to be a different beast.
But we did see both athletes make their best attempt on the first attempt, which would suggest that is a deeply powerful boulder. It drains your body, and people are not having the engine.
So, Jailu Lau will come out onto the mats. This is the lady we don't know a lot about. No stats to back her up, no real history, and we're just enjoying someone who could be a real talent for the future. And she makes easy work of this 360.
Look how comfortable she is there. It almost seems she just got in the position and she's figuring out as she goes, because she's so strong. She's so comfortable in these moves.
So out to the black hole. Oh, and a foot pop there. sending her back down. The wall does become a bit more slabby down the bottom, but not really enough to stand on fully.
Definitely not to stand on fully. It is more slabby, but I do think it is maybe 1 or 2 degrees overhanging still. So you have to drive the feet in with the undercut. Bicep power for days.
So Jaelu Lau, good start to her IFSC final. Imagine that, your first ever competition and you're in the finals. So she spins. An interesting move there. It's almost a fig 4 style movement. And there is a possible fig 4 here.
Big move across here, not needing the other crimp so much, can reach all the way.
You can see how flat that hold is, just using the friction to keep her on. Slaps out, shoulder heavily taped, as you can see. She's so calm and composed when climbing.
She's clearly very, very strong and able to reverse moves, attempt other methods.
Jaelu Lau could be the first person to top this out. She's got further, she stood up, but it's a long way to go. She presses her way towards that volcano hold, needs to match it and control the top, but she does. Well, what a way to announce yourself to the world, sending the first boulder in your first ever finals when no one else has climbed it so far.
Incredibly impressive. Her whole climbing style, you could see in this 360 move, the other athletes visualize where the hold is and go to it in one motion. She just hangs on the hold, gets into that stable position, and then thinks about going. She's so strong and capable.
So an interesting first boulder. 3 more athletes to come. Let's see what happens. Hannah Moyle runs onto the mat. It's strange to think that this is her first final because she's been on the scene for such a long time.
Really exciting for her whole team. I've seen they've all appeared in their uniforms, ready to support Hannah with everything they've got.
So Hannah, straight away, no hesitation, unlaunches in, and that is called a figure 4 in the ice climbing world. Rarely utilised in the rock climbing world, but Hannah Moyle did it to perfection. It's like she practiced that.
Not a bother, and cruising through the next moves. And can she drive those feet in to make the undercut work?
This is a good chance for Hannah Moyle to be on the podium here today. And she needs to get off to a good start, and she is at the moment. This is her flash attempt, remember, the first time she's tried this boulder, and is making easy work of it as she gets stood up. And now needs to look back over her shoulder just to see the hold.
She's deciding which direction she wants to go. Turns the shoulders through.
Matches the top. Hannah Moyle is off to the best of starts, and that will jump her up the leaderboard.
She will be very happy with that. First final, gets a flash. I think you'll be quite pleased.
This is going to be a good one here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. Make sure you watch all of this because this is going to be spectacular. So Hannah Moyle gets it done. Miho Nanaka and Natalia Grossman up next. And of course, they'll be knowing that Hannah has sent that boulder, so the pressure is on.
Excited to see now what method Miho, who's generally more of a powerful climber, Hannah utilized her flexibility to no end in that climb. You can see with the figure 4, but also in that mantle, if you didn't notice, her left foot came all the way up onto the black, right in front of her face, because she has that flexibility. Now Miho, more of a powerful climber, she might be able to pull harder on the holds and hold the powerful positions, so could be a very different method here.
Yeah, Miho was watching all of the qualification rounds yesterday. She was out in the sun, and look at that move, one-handed, one-armer. She's climbing a bit like Kokoro Fuji does, a sort of robot style, really powerful, static movements.
That is how you reduce risk when you're climbing. You lock off, use all the muscles, and then that makes the movement more static rather than dynamic.
So Miho comes into the business end of this boulder now. This press move, how are her shoulders feeling? Remember, she competed earlier today in the semi-finals, avoids the rest of the holds, goes straight to it. Wow, look, we've seen a few tops now and almost different methods every time.
Fantastic, amazing use of her power there. She was able to reach up with the left hand from quite high position, and so she's holding all of her body weight on the right hand undercut. And that was the power, that use of the one arm bicep that allowed her to get up at a higher position. And then you saw she turned and pressed on the black volume and quickly got up into the final hold.
So Natalia Grossman is out on stage, and there is a potential record here because Natalia has yet to fall off a boulder in this competition. So she's had 9 climbs, no falls, and we can't find a stat to say if anyone's ever done that before, if she flashes all of these. So, Natalia, it's a big ask, but if you wouldn't mind just flashing all these 4 boulders, then we'll have a wonderful new record. Let's see if she can do it for us. She's certainly on form. She won in Salt Lake twice.
She does look so composed and casual when she climbs.
Oh, using her own wrist there to pull herself up.
That is some advanced technique there. Micro beta, as they
It does
say.
help though, doesn't it? It's
yes.
easier than a one-armer.
Far easier, far easier. It is just a staggered pull-up in some ways.
I wonder if Natalia had spotted that before. It was in a moment thing. She's doing well, matches the pink hold. Now having to work as she pushes up. Slightly different method from Miho, who went directly. Natalia using those, both the pink holds. And well, the record is still alive because Natalia Grossman flashes at boulder number 1. She still hasn't fallen off a boulder here in Brixen.
Amazing use, and actually involved a lot of flexibility. You could see she had both arms pressing on the pink holes on the left, and that meant she had to drive her hips right into the wall, opening up that right leg to get across, and you need a lot of flexibility to do that. It's very impressive.
So that is our top 6, which allows us to look at the leaderboard. Natalia Grossman with that flash leading the way. Miho Nanaka also got a flash, but due to count back, that's why she's in 2nd. Hannah Moyle in 3rd, another flash, so 3 flashes for the top 3. And then Jailu Lau got it done eventually. And has, I say eventually, 2nd go, so it's not bad, is it? And then Sarika and Anon finishing things up. So that is our top 6. And no necessary surprises so far, but a long way to go in this comp. Dan, to be expected, I think, for Natalia to climb that well, to flash that boulder. Were you thinking Miho and Hannah would be following her up?
I actually did not, at least thinking about when we were looking at the boulder from below. It is very powerful, very, very difficult. Everyone's going to assume Natalia will flash it, but I thought the rest of the athletes would be having a difficult time. But it was amazing to see how they utilized other methods, other skills to get through.
Well, here is boulder number 2. More slabby, this one. Involves going from right to left. And what were your impressions of this?
Well, the first thing to note that it has been changed a bit from the current 3D graphic that we're all watching. You can see that big black volume on the left has been moved, and they've gone for a more direct finish at the end. So this could be a bit of anything. I can't tell you what way it's going to go.
Yeah, and the route setters have had an interesting time this competition. They were worried about the heat earlier on today. Thought it might affect the athletes more than it did. And as always, the route setter is such a tricky job. I mean, how do you judge exactly how the athlete's going to be feeling on the day? They don't get enough credit for what they do.
No, it's an incredibly, incredibly difficult job.
Anon will kick things off for us. She waits to get underway. So she's taking a bit of time just to remember this boulder. The start is indicated by those lines. We've got to be using the same amount of limbs touching the hold as it is indicated by that red tape.
It is actually a bit of a worryingly high jump at the start. If you've not got the strength in your legs, you're going to struggle on that very first movement.
I think I bashed my knee on something like that. It's one of those, you know, when you're running into the wall. But she's on the slab now, and those footholds she's standing on are very tiny. There's only a little bit of surface area to stand on. The rest is quite slippery, and you can see that bit there from that shot, the black of rubber. That's what you've got to stand on.
Finds a good press on the left that allowed her to commit her way onto that left-hand hold now.
And on taking a moment to chalk, she's currently in 6th. So we'd like a quick send of this in order to get back up that board. And now she leaves those red, I suppose it's a crimp, more of a nubbin really. And you can see that left foot shaking with the pressure. She hasn't been awarded the zone yet. Watch for the yellow box down on the bottom left that will get filled up halfway if she's awarded that zone.
very, very tense. I think her calves will start to be getting a bit pumped at this stage. You have to tense so hard to drive the weight through the foot to make the shoes stick to the hold.
Yeah, calf pump is a real thing. If you ever climbed slabs, you'll know what we're talking about. She's working her way up nice and slowly, not rushing it. She's been awarded that zone now, and there is the top in sight. One move, really.
Trying to, looks like maybe get a big deep press through to the left, which would be very, very impressive to open that left side of your body up enough to get through. That's actually been a bit of a theme in terms of cruxes in this whole competition. Very difficult positions where you have to essentially go from concave to convex. You have to bring your hips through a hand and a foot at two separate points, which is so, so difficult in climbing.
So Anon has 1:30 on the clock. And it is a long boulder, and it's difficult to rush a slab. And when the time is ticking down, the more you start to rush, maybe start to panic a little bit, then that's when the foot pops happen. And we've seen it so often in IFSC competitions. Have to be precise with the footwork. So running in, getting stood up, as Dan said, it's a high start.
Very high start, and actually does shake you up on a slab. You're tense, and on a slab you need to not be tense. You need to be relaxed and commit your weight onto the feet.
Less than a minute to go. The crowd getting behind her in the background. A great atmosphere here in the stadium tonight.
She took a lot of time in her first attempt, which means she's not going to have much time to be doing the same movements this attempt.
She's quicker through though. She's learned that sequence. That's the zone hold, you can see it written in the circle.
Now let's see, is she going to go for the same method as before or try something different for the last movement?
And she's readjusting that left hand a few times. Quite soft shoes as well, which won't feel wonderful on those little nubbins.
Coming up on 10 seconds left. She'll know that time to reach for the top.
She'll hear the buzzer in the moment and have to go. I don't think she's aware of the time yet, but it's there you go. There's the buzzer, and you can see she just had a moment where she heard it start to tick down and realised she had to go quickly.
Yeah, it would have been very interesting to see if she had more time. She might have been able to drive up and left, get onto that foothold, and then quite casually go for the top. But unfortunately, that buzzer kind of messed with her.
If you've been watching a lot of IFSC competitions, you'll notice the brushes are back. A little rule change this week. The athletes have been brushing themselves, but this weekend they're out on the mats, which does take a bit of pressure off the athletes when they're trying to rest. So let's watch some replays of that. Anon focused on those next moves, using her palms to press down as she starts to work her way left. And this was those shoes I was talking about, quite a soft shoe, which is usually good for slabs, but those nubbins, you almost want a bit of power into it.
Yeah. If you're standing on a volume, you want that soft shoe. You want the rubber to mesh and get as much surface area on the volume as possible. But if you're standing on a little nubbin, you've only got a tiny bit to stand on, and you need some support through to the back of your heel that is going to hold you up. Otherwise, you're pulling so hard with your toes, which is not the easiest thing.
Yeah, the difference between stiff and soft shoes, we could write essays on it. We won't do that now, but there's a whole world of climbing shoes if you're about to get into this sport. So, Sarika Okawachi, she's underway. She's been bumped down to 6th, of course, because of Anon's performance. So Sarika comes off early on.
And with Anon having got the zone on her first attempt before, Sarika now will be behind her in the scores, so she'll have to try either get a top or catch up on later boulders.
It's been fascinating in recent years how important flashes have come. If you think of sort of the competition where Yanya is dominant or Natalia is dominant, it becomes the most important thing. You don't just have to climb the boulders, you have to do it quickly.
Yeah, that is the sort of crux of our sport, going dynamically there.
She's not looking that in control at the moment through this sequence.
It looks like she puts this left foot on and she doesn't want to just stand. She would rather figure out a different method.
So Sarika having to puzzle this one out as we pan around our crowd, the mountains surrounding this stadium. Absolutely packed. It was packed during semi-finals, but there's even more of them now. They're sitting in the aisles watching our competition tonight. So Sarika, this is the moment she was almost rushing through this, not quite finding the correct beater.
It is the type of boulder where you have to think while you're on the climb, which is very, very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, look, why isn't she utilising those left holds? It seems like she's just going for the fall method. Surely better now to pull back and start trying some more tiptoe beater across.
As much as I'd like to predict what she's thinking, it does seem like she's not so confident on that foot and is trying to get out of that sort of high intensity area. Let's see now, is she going to try something different? Maybe it could be that she thinks the plate on the black hold is good enough to sort of dyno to and swing off of. And another question I'm wondering now is how much of this method was shared amongst the Japanese team? Are we going to see other athletes try this, or is it just Sarika Okawachi who is not comfortable in the method, in a different method?
Yeah, so let's watch this again. Let's see if she changes it up. She gets that left foot on, crimping that, just a finger.
In the screw hole.
In the screw hole.
Really crimping.
You are allowed, if it's on the hold itself. Now she's starting to walk, but this is this fall moment where she seems to set herself up and go for the, yeah, I can see what she's thinking. She's thinking go left and palm off that hold, but it's quite far away.
It's quite far away. It doesn't look like you've got the feet in a good place to grab that hold without falling back from the wall. The difference we saw Anon before was she was matching that first foothold, and suddenly she realized she could step across left and get into that position. Sarika Okawachi right now hasn't chosen to match this first foothold, and so looking at other methods, it could be that she just needs to match and hadn't planned to do it beforehand, or she will figure out another method.
And just because she touches that zone hold doesn't mean she's awarded it. She has to use it more than she is doing, and the judges haven't awarded it to her yet. So she's got 16 seconds. She'll want a zone out of this. 10 seconds. Bumps the right instead of matching. 7 seconds. She's out of time here unless she can pull some magic out of the bag, which she's not going to be able to. So unsuccessful for Sarika. Runs back to the chalk bag and leaves our stadium.
I think we should note as well that how bad that foothold is. So I was like, oh, she just needs to match. But she may have been very aware that it's so difficult and could have slipped off trying.
So, 2 gone, 4 to go. Jailu Lau is out next. Is she a good slab climber? We are discovering this along with you guys watching at home. This is going to be so fascinating. I have not been in this position before, where we're discovering, like 160% top so far, just because she hasn't done that many, well, any comps. She is out working her way out left. Hope you can hear the music in the background because it's dropped at the right moment into this tense atmospheric beat in the background. Up with the right hand, crimping the edge of those volumes, looking good so far, palm down.
How she's going through the step through, can she get, she can, she has that strength in the right arm to statically hold her position as she steps through.
Thumb scragging, look at that, the thumb of her right hand, really the only thing pressing upwards.
How is she making this stick?
This is exciting stuff. Left hand, left foot up high, cruising through the bottom of this slab at the moment.
Now this very, very difficult. It looks like she's in the palm. She wants to shift her hips up left, can she?
Well, there is the top. This is a flash attempt, remember? But now she's having to work. Looking like she's, I'm not sure what she's doing with that left hand. Trying to find a purchase on it somewhere. Oh, she's pressing down, that's what she's doing. Her left leg slightly in the way, and now brings the left through.
Now trying to step upright, couldn't make it. Wow, that was incredibly impressive. A theme with this athlete, she's able to hold these outrageous positions, and it looks like she holds them and reassesses constantly, tries new methods. You saw using different types of the hold, or pressing in a different way. So impressive to do that on such a difficult boulder right now.
Yeah, both Sarika and Anon struggled with those two handles, which they should, because there's basically nothing there. But Jielu Lau had the thumb in, she looked in complete control. She didn't really look at her hands when she was moving through. She just expected them to stick.
Somehow knew that they would just stick and then committed on to these very bad feet in the more difficult step-through fashion.
But she's still got work to do here. A minute 44. She has got the zone, wants a top out of this. Her footwork is impressive. If you want to learn how to climb slabs, look at this lady climb.
It is often a theme now with a lot of the world's strongest climbers in competitions. You see them do the powerful overhanging boulders, but actually they're also amazing on slabs.
Yeah, every comp, the route setters utilize a slab in some way, and this is our final slab. But they've built it up really with those volumes, created their own slab, which means they can play with the more vertical section above them. What footwork from Jielu Lau. And this is where she struggled before.
Finding that, trying to get through onto the other side. You can imagine drawing a line between her right hand and her left foot, and she needs to get her hips across through that line, which is so difficult and powerful. And it looks like she's acknowledged that and is now seeing if she can attempt another method.
38 seconds, and that's what she's having to work with. There's not a lot on those. Crimping the boulder there.
Looks like she's going dynamically.
She is popping up and wasn't far off. I don't think she's going to get this in the next 24 seconds, and she's not. Says goodbye. But the way she walked through that slab was fascinating to watch.
It'll be very interesting to see how many athletes had a plan for that movement and how many are going to stick to their plan, because it looks like everyone's been a bit surprised once they get there.
Watching some replays of this, this was her brilliant footwork early on, and that top proving difficult for her. She's also got soft shoes on, didn't seem to really be a problem for her.
She has that toe strength.
That was a long wind up, that jump. A long way to go. She was quite short on it. So Hannah Moyle rejoins us. Flash the first boulder. What can she do with this?
Now we have seen her really utilize her flexibility and technique, which is what this boulder is requiring. So maybe she will figure out something pretty special here.
So Hannah choosing a different method rather than that running jump start. Looks a little safer like this, but slower, as you can see.
Much slower, crimping that edge, but you saw that right toe roll to the left, which you don't want, but she does have the ability to stick on, and now she's in the safe zone, at least for the next 10 seconds.
So Hannah begins her journey left, chalking up, crimping the edge of the volume. It's totally allowed to do. There's not a lot on it in order to do that. Right foot through, and look, just the fingers crimping that nubbin hold. Those black things underneath the hold, no texture on those.
No texture on those. They were originally designed to stop people using the undercut of the hold, but I think it's so bad anyway, they're just best to be ignored.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. Hannah, though, coming closer to a top. Will this be another flash? That right foot's problematic, but it doesn't matter because she comes in with the left. Tops out, 2 out of 2 for Hannah Moyle.
Very, very happy with that. Able to just reach so high and then bring in the hips up. Suddenly she realized she can get to the top from there. She has a flash in her hands.
Well, this could be becoming a race for the top 3 athletes. Hannah Moyle, Miho Nanaka and Natalia Grossman. And a bit of a league on their own, starting to pull out in the second half of this field. We are only 2 boulders into a 4 boulder comp though, remember. Anything can change, and often does during these events. Hannah Moyle almost can't believe it as she reaches the top. That meant a lot to her. And any nerves she had will be long gone now. She'll be enjoying this. Miho Nanaka is out.
Now this is where we get to see the climber that we've associated with being more powerful, but I would be very much expecting her to show us some very good technique on this boulder.
Well, we know it's climbable and we know it's flashable. and Miho taking the run up. Hannah's method, I mean, works, but I think that's the better way.
Yeah, it is sometimes a bit of a personal preference. I know I've spoken to athletes who say that a jump at the start of the slab just shakes them up and they don't feel like comfortable to stand on the feet. And so it's a skill to be used to that. And Hannah looked like she wanted to play it safe and keep in that headspace of being static and controlled.
And that's the danger moment, uncrossing those legs, bringing the left over. And you can see those are the black holes we were talking about underneath, the honeycomb crisscross shape. There's no texture on those at all. Little jib behind the zone.
Just one of those one-finger pockets she's got to work with. Now
Right.
let's see. Slip with the right hand.
I was impressed with the control she showed with that left toe there, because she brought it out sort of pointing her toes onto the volume and just had a moment where she hesitated and then brought it back down again. The core strength to be able to do that is impressive.
Very, very good. And often a training exercise we do with athletes, it's much like a mental, technical warm-up. You put your foot out, you hover it above the hole for a second, and you put it on perfectly right. You don't want to bump it around, put it on technically the best way, first try. And these athletes are doing this the entire day.
Yeah, you're right. That was a textbook style move, wasn't it? So, the run to get herself up on the wall. Great camera angle here.
So we want to see, you see that composure. Sometimes the face just looks like it's numb or dead, as it's like completely, your brain is in your feet at this moment. It's very funny to sort of observe, and all kinds of funny things come out on the face, because this is one of the sports where you just have to think about so many different types of movements.
Look at the thumb in action there with the right hand, and then a little look back to adjust.
Very high on that right toe. She'll be getting a little bit tired on it, so she wants to move, figure something out soon.
Slaps up with the left. You know, she's got a hard pull. Being that stretched out, it's going to be difficult for her to engage the arm and bring it in.
Very much so, especially at this angle. The left hand hold is so bad, so she needs to get her body weight all the way into the wall to try create that directional force on the right to use it. But it's so difficult and powerful to do, and you need to push your hips in. Looked like Miho didn't want to go for that leftwards method where you have to come through that difficult concave convex movement. And she was trying to lean out right. Now let's see if she's going to try something else or go for that method again.
Oh, Miho pops off the first hold. She's got 46 seconds, not a lot of time.
It's a very slow climb.
39, that would have frustrated her a little bit. She's got the zone already. She only wants the top. So this is the balance between rushing and being quick. 23 seconds, and again that right hand fails her. And she looks up, she knows it's not enough time.
Looking at her hands, it looked like a problem with friction there. She popped out of those holds, so I hope those holds get a good brush now before our next athlete comes on.
Yeah, it's rare that we see someone falling on the same move, especially when it's a pop. Usually they brush up, they chalk up that digit properly, and then they sort of can pull it together. But Miho, the same thing, twice in a row.
Yeah, it can be a few different problems. Sometimes it's a breakdown in technique and her hips just moved a little bit too far back from the wall, but sometimes it is a breakdown in friction, potentially sweat a bit too much. That's what you see when athletes pop off a hold, like really explode. The rest of their body's tensing the exact same way, but that friction was lost and then they explode off.
And that was it. That's the explosion. We saw that right hand firing off the hold. I'm not sure who she's talking to. The gods of climbing, perhaps. Natalia Grossman, our final athlete out on boulder number 2. She has a chance here to jump up the leaderboard in those 6 golds, 3 of them this year already. 2 silvers and a bronze. And Natalia Grossman still hasn't fallen off, remember.
Neither has Hannah Moyle. Obviously there will be a count back, but Natalia does not have much room for error right now.
No, she doesn't. Hannah close behind her. Natalia treading very carefully here and going back, dropping down, smart climbing. She wants to do this first time. There's nothing wrong with going backwards.
Making that foot match in that lower position, very difficult and powerful. Has the friction on that left hand to use it.
Yeah, that foot jump kind of a move works well when the holds are bigger than that. When they're that small, it's so risky.
So risky.
Right thumb scragging on that hold. Oh, Natalia Grossman goes down. Well,
off the wallet. Now she has officially fallen into second place.
And second place, and the record to flash the whole comp that goes as well. But I don't think we're ever really thinking that would happen, but it would have been great.
The route setters will be happy with that.
So Natalia pulls onto her second go. 2 minutes 42 on the clock. Makes Hannah Moore's flash of this look even more impressive.
Very, very impressive. But an athlete who's so good at using all her limbs in coordination. I was very much expecting to see something impressive on this boulder.
So Natalia clawing her way upwards and gets the top.
It looked like she really pulled on that right-hand shoulder.
Yeah, it's like she suddenly got angry midway through that boulder. So Natalia Grossman goes, but she will be in second place.
Yeah, she has jumped ahead of Miho, but second place should be having her eye on first.
So this is a replay. This was this foot jump. You can see, again, it worked really well on a bigger hold. So risky in that situation. Natalia, the confidence in her own abilities to go for that kind of a move, and that was the top. Swinging around high, top of the world. So if you're just joining us, welcome to Brixen. This is the 5th round of the IFSC Boulder World Cup. My name is Matt Groom, and I'm here with Dan and Markey in the commentary box. And Hannah Moyle is leading the way with 2 tops out of 2.
Her first final should be very, very excited today.
Natalia Grossman and Miho Nanaka making up our podium so far. Jelu Lau in 4th, Anon and Sarika completing our top 6. So, strong start to our comp. In a few minutes we'll be moving on to boulder number 3.
I would have said before that we've kind of split the field in between the athletes that have the experience in World Cup finals and the athletes that don't. But Hannah Moyle has came in and shook that up entirely. Her first finals and sitting in first position right now.
Right, well, this is a new venue for us. So what we're going to have is a look at the venue itself. And I went on a little trip around it to see what I could see. Brixen in South Tyrol, northern Italy, are the new kids on the IFSC World Circuit. The Verticale Gym is hosting a Senior World Cup for the first time, and man, have they brought the goods. Behind me is a huge amphitheatre-style stadium set up for the crowds expected, and behind this grey curtain is a 35-metre-long permanent competition wall. Let me show you more. So the climbing wall dominates the space, and the space itself can be changed. This curtain is removed in summer, so it's open air, and in winter, well, they shut the doors so it's warm enough to climb inside. Now, the wall itself, well, it's got everything you'd expect. Overhanging bits, slabby sections, and an enormous slab down on the left-hand side. I'm sure the route setters are going to have some fun with that. For me, one of the best things about this venue is, well, once the athletes have gone, you can come in here and climb on the same wall as them and have those gold medal winning fantasies. So we're inside the Verticale Gym now, and the area behind me will be the isolation zone for the athletes. Now, in a similar way to the Kletterzentrum in Innsbruck, that's a working gym, so is this place. So for most of the year, it's ordinary, average climbers and a few pros coming in here to enjoy the walls. Now, coming outside, well, this is where the athletes will be waiting nervously for their moment out on the stage. They'll gather here and then they'll exit through this door into a rather atmospheric corridor. And at this point, you can imagine the crowd sounds are going to be building, the excitement, the nerves are going to start. They get to this curtain, they pause, compose themselves, and then head out. Well, there you go. That's our venue, and what a place it is. And as I said earlier, massive congratulations to all the organisers here for pulling this competition together. There's our crowd waiting for the next boulder, and we're seconds away from seeing boulder number 3. Our crowd waving to our camera as it pans above their heads. Right, so this is boulder number 3, and from that angle, it looks incredibly complicated.
Incredibly complicated is definitely one way of putting it. In actuality, it seems like there's a lot of options, but I would say the method is quite straightforward, and it's more power and difficulty focused. At the start, you kind of jump into this bicycle position, which is actually high risk. You have to hit that toe hook first time, and then you have some powerful moves in between, and then around the zone, that's where I think we might start to see a bit of a mix-up if different athletes are choosing different methods, and then a big throw to the finish.
Crack aficionados, that's not a crack at the top. It's not a jamming situation, is it?
Unfortunately not, and very important to point out as well, you can see in this starting hold, there are 2 big yellow holds, macros screwed on right beside each other, but the tape is only on the bottom one, so you're not allowed to jam, you're not allowed to touch that upper hold.
So let's see this theory in action as Anand faces the wall. He's currently down the leaderboard. Will want to pull something out for this. So that what Danon was talking about is the top yellow hole. So she's allowed to hold on the bottom one. It's that top one. If she bangs it or touches it, as you say, jams it, not allowed.
Trying to statically put the toe hook in. Very impressive. Great core strength there to get off the ground.
So you saw her trying to snatch for the undercling. A boulder like this is hard work at this point in the competition because it is stuggy and physical. I know they've had a slab, which wasn't so much, but there's lots of body tension required. This is a big ask. Yeah,
very much so. And the route setters plan this out. They very particularly and specifically decide the order of the boulders. And they're like, okay, we're going to tire the athletes out, then we're going to challenge their technique, and then we're going to really tire them out.
Yeah, that's a good point. They don't really decide this until sometimes the last seconds which order it's going to go in.
That's the coaches of the Japanese team there. They'll be quite happy with their lineup, but they're not getting top place right now.
Not yet. We've seen dominance in the men's competition. In South Korea, I think we had half of the finals were from Team Japan, and we're seeing this in the women's now. It's such a strong team, but as you said, not in the top 3 at the moment. So toe hook, starting move, horizontal on the wall, and let's see if she can get this catch. Watch her right hand as it will flick upwards. Oh no, different method, outright this time.
Full extension there. So she was able to keep that toe hook in as she reached the first black hold, and then she could set up more carefully to jump out to the right hand jug, but she is stretched all the way there.
So Anand, with 2 minutes on the clock, has tried 2 different methods. Now with that toe hook in on the left. And not a lot.
Maintains the toe hook.
Oh, makes it stick this time. So she's into the second half of this route. There's the zone up above her head. Crosses through with the left hand. And this is where power endurance starts to become important.
Deep tension. None of these holds are in cuts, so if your body swings back from the wall, you are off immediately. So you have to pull in with your feet. You can see she has a right toe hook there to keep herself into the wall. You cannot pull with your fingers if you come away from the wall.
Anand is giving this everything, and this might be one of her last attempts. She's doing well, has the zone. 3 zones out of 3 for her now. Goes out left. Every move looks like she might fall. Clever toe hook with the right. Misses the toe, bumps the hands up. How is she still on? And now this big stand-up move to the top. 1 minute on the clock. Comes around and makes it work. She just needs to match. Gets it with the heel. And what a climb from her.
Very impressive there. And you could see she was leaning towards that left-hand method, and she realized, oh, there's a toe hook here on the right. Put the foot in, that right toe into the toe hook, and that brought her right into the wall to solidly go through those top moves and then throw to the top.
They're always interesting with toe hooks, especially on an overhanging boulder. It's when you release it you tend to then swing backwards. It's hard to pull yourself back in. I was waiting for that moment with her, and it just didn't seem to come.
No, this right hand undercut actually sort of simulates a closer toe hook, so she can activate that to release the toe hook and then put the toe on in a different position to jump upwards.
So Sarika Okawachi comes out onto the stage. Sarika Okawachi is part of this Team Japan, which we keep talking about, but it's worth talking about. 60% tops for her in her first finals. This is the starting together with the high left toe hook, swinging into it.
There we can see that other method of jumping the feet into the bicycle, which is high risk because you lose an attempt there.
Yeah, it's hard to be precise when you're jumping, isn't it? And that she's a different method this time, static with the toe. And certainly better, I think.
Such difficult core tension, and as well, you have to use this muscle in the front of your shin to pull with the toe.
Now we saw Anon, once she got through this initial section, found the top fairly straightforward in terms of route reading. She knew what she was doing. Can Sarika do a similar thing now? No, she can't.
You can see as she released that right toe, hips come away from the wall, and the holds are not good enough to pull in. Or at least that's how we say it. Some athletes really do surprise you with their finger strength and friction.
Photographers in action on the stage. Remember, you can check out all the images often online. Some wonderful pictures have come out of this weekend. Impressed with her chalk bag as well. I think it's a cat. Very important to climbing, that observation. So, static left toe in. Once again, making that first move look way more easier now she's worked out the beater. And then it's non-stop from now onwards.
It is a fight at all times, and if your feet come off, you are done. So you're pulling with your lower body the entire time, trying to think what is the correct method. Very high risk here. See, she's got a bit of a shake in her core. She is tired after these previous attempts.
Yeah, those kind of a crimp is so uncomfortable to hold. It's more of a pinch than anything else. Right, well, I called this wrong because I said the top might be easy to work out, but Sarika is having issues.
Not finding that toe hook on the right that Anon used. Looked like she might be able to drive with the left toe and reach that left hand at full extension. Very, very difficult method, though.
Now, blood on her right hand, you can see it on her finger. And I'm not sure if that's a skin injury or just skin wearing away. Bloody tips are a thing in climbing.
I'm not sure if she's noticed herself. It might be small enough to put a chalk and it's fine. It is a rule, if you are bleeding, you have to stop and tape it up because you will leave blood on the holds for previous athletes, which is going to lower their chances of getting up.
Exactly, I mean, from a practical purpose as well, it's going to make it more slippy for her and for others. But she launches into this powerful section now. And quick work into these crimps, and that's that finger that's been bleeding.
There is the blood. Let's do with the amount of pressure she's putting through that crimp. Now let's see.
Such an awkward position. That left foot is almost too high. Pops out left.
Found the toe hook, but I think either her left foot was a bit too high or she just didn't have the energy there for that last move.
She'll call it a day with 13 seconds remaining on women's 3. Just a little replay of that moment. So that toe twisting and turning on the black hold, trying to use the rubber that's across the top of it. And it's when she was trying to stand up, ready for that left.
You saw that left foot pop out. It looked like it was a bit too high for her to really drive across with.
Jelu Lau comes out for her boulder number 3. Came close to the slab just now, didn't manage to put it together, only got the zone. So if she wants to podium on her debut final, she's going to have to find something special in the last final and comes sliding off that hold.
It is very important to note that while a lot of people have seen this hold, no, sometimes there's positive versions and sometimes there's less positive versions. This is the very slopey version. You do not have any positivity, any depth to pull in on these handholds.
So a misstep on her first attempt, better this time. Left hand through, right on that undercling, bumping her way up, almost heel-toe camming in there.
Very, very impressive. This is what I was mentioning about bringing your hips up and through your 2 points of contact on your hands. And this is clearly, she's very good at it. That's why she was able to get through qualifications in semi-finals, where often that was the crux in the boulders. And you could see there, her right toe was up by her hand, her hips were all the way up. She wouldn't have to make this massive leap that the other athletes have had to for that movement.
So once again into this static position. Watch her right foot, tap that black volume, which you have to have. There's the tap, and she moves through onto the next sequence of holds. And then this is this move. Look, her foot's almost upside down on that hold. There's the heel-toe cam. So her heel pressing into the bottom hold, her toe jamming into the hold above it. And that is a nasty one for the knees, but she's made it work.
Really, really impressive. Quite a high-risk movement. And again, going for another cam. But she is confident and experienced enough with these to just pull through them.
So she's midway through with 2 minutes to go. And although she is getting through the sequence, I'm not sure it's the most efficient way.
Seems like she doesn't want to jump. She would rather a more static method. And again, utilizing her skills, she's flexible enough to get that foot right up by her chest and then take weight off with it. Very, very impressive. Amazing to be able to do this movement with that method. Maybe she'll switch it up, or maybe she has made it work, so why not make it work again that way?
Yeah, it's true. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, as the saying goes. So let's see what she does here. So right foot on the black volume, same as before at the moment, and there, looks straight into it. Or trying to anyway.
Camming.
I remember when Oriane started climbing, it was a similar way. She'd do things you weren't expecting because she's thinking outside of the box, she's thinking differently.
Now let's see, she needs to make her feet stick. That's what happened the previous attempt.
Better, more control, using the shoulders to bring herself through. They're looking for the... I'm not sure the bump, I mean, it's a big stretch for her, that bump.
Very big stretch. This undercut that she was pulling on, that right hand volume, is very, very poor. And then the left hand as well is not a positive hold. There's no depth that you can put your fingers in behind it. So the amount of force to activate on that to keep you on the wall is very extreme.
If you're just joining us, you just switch your TV on and you're wondering what this sport is. This is competition climbing. This is the Boulder World Cup for the IFSC. The aim of the game is to get from the bottom to the top and as fewer goes as possible without falling. And our athletes here tonight putting on a wonderful performance for us. Out she goes, slapping right. That left-hand move, same as before. And now it's this section that's causing her problems around the zone hold. 5 seconds to go. She's not going to get to the top. Way better, though, in terms of movement.
Look, you could see she rehearsed it. She was comfortable. I would have called that a very risky method, that heel-toe cam. And then as you kind of explode between some holes, you don't want to come off in that position if the cam is locked in too deeply. But she was more than capable to do it.
See, that's what we're talking about, the toe hook underneath. Great shot showing that crack and how she can utilize it.
That's the cam there. So hard to have a foot right by your hips without driving your body away from the wall. Very unique skill that not many climbers have.
And this was her final go as the time ran out. A lot better method rather than that bump she was using before. So Hannah Moyle has flashed 2 out of 2. Can she make it 3 out of 3? She's currently at the top of the leaderboard.
She's caught one of those rare slip-ups from Natalia Grossman. and it has her in first place. It is a very, very special opportunity that she'll want to hold on to.
Well, look, Hannah's had a good... I mean, she hasn't done all the comps. She was ill at the beginning of the season, then she had some scheduled rest times. Last 2 comps, though, 7th and 13th. Nothing to really indicate this level of form from Hannah.
I think she was working at very high level for a long time before she was more focused on the lead climbing aspect, and she's done an amazing job of transferring that ability to bouldering.
Yeah, sometimes it is just your night, and you get that feeling. If you're listening at home and you're a climber, you know that wonderful moment when you walk into a gym and everything, it feels like you're light, it feels like you're floating, and Hannah's in that zone at the moment.
It's a very unique thing in our sport, where things just work somehow. Can't quite tell.
Flow state, that's what I've heard. Never experienced it myself. Hannah will cross this right hand through with a high left foot. That's on no friction though, and she thinks better of it.
Reassessing what is a safer method. Now it's going to be a big release from that right toe hook. Sticks it though, able to control with the left foot.
Hannah might be on for another flash here. She's even got time to chalk up with that toe hook in.
Well, she had a slip at the start, so this is her second go.
Second go, you're right, yeah. So this isn't a flash, but it is impressive still. Comes up with the right matches, and a quick send for Hannah Moyle will keep her at the top of the leaderboard for now.
If anything, she got the zone on her second attempt. If Natalia Grossman is to flash, then she will find herself back in first place.
So again, cat and mouse between the top two, and Miho Nanaka trying to worm her way in. There is the hold. You have to control it at the top. You can't just snatch for it and then fall off. Let's see a replay of this action. Look control from here on, that big swing.
It is actually high risk, because you could be too tired to hold down that swing by the end.
So behind that curtain is Miho Nanaka. You can see a hand just poking out. The hand is drawn backwards, and Miho joins us on stage.
Miho would really want to be having a top on this boulder if she wants to have any chance of being in the running with Hannah Moyle and Natalia Grossman.
Miho Nanaka is so experienced, and yet she's only 25. She's got a long way to go in her climbing career. And I've said it before, but Miho climbs like I would love to in my dreams. She has this wonderful style about her.
Great mix of power and control. You saw that jump outright, very casual. She clearly has done this type of movement many times before.
Making quick work up to the zone. Has a little look down to readjust those feet.
Trying to find the balance position with the hips. She does. Very impressive. Gets the toe hook in now.
Powerful stuff from Miho.
And again, another athlete with that very high left foot trying to pounce across on it. Seemed like the more successful method was to stand on the black foothold just below it.
I didn't quite see it. Did she have the toe hook in when she was going left?
Yeah, she had the right toe hook in. She found it very quickly and naturally. And as one of the previous athletes, coming across, can't get the hips over that left foot because it's so high. So I wonder now if she's going to think about how to correct this issue, potentially find a lower foot, or show us something new again.
So Miho has some thinking time, and she's left herself with lots of options here. Quickly getting up to that zone hold. There's our leaderboard down on the bottom left. Hannah Moyle leading the way, Natalia Grossman, and this lady, Miho Nanaka, is our top three. Miho is taking a long time to rest, and that's because she's worked out most of it, and she reckons she knows the top.
Yeah, much wiser to have all the energy and just do it next go. But it is also a suggestion that it took quite a lot of her power, and therefore she needs to be more ready than, say, for a different type of boulder.
So once again, Miho smoothly through these moves. Let's readjust that right foot.
Yeah, now she's staying away from that high left toe.
So changing the beat that sent her down to the ground. Ah, bump. But now the next bump is going to be powerful. No, she's not. She just brings it through. big left foot slip.
Big left foot slip again. This is a bit of a flexibility issue. Wow, look at all the rubber on that foothold. You want to get some of that off.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's dual text, that foothold as well. There's like a slither in the middle.
Yeah.
Where it has friction, so I think she just moved her foot onto the dual text, the slippery surface.
I think there was a last-minute change in method there. Not quite finding the feet that she wanted to, but doing some impressive things of just driving. Other athletes use the toe hook to bring that right hand up across onto the second yellow hold on the volume. Miho finding perfect position with her hips, bouncing under and statically coming out without this lock-in from one of the other big footholds.
45 seconds is enough time, but you can see she's climbing quickly through here. She might want to give herself 2 attempts on this just in case. Has the beater nailed down now, brings that left foot up, got to be precise with it. No mistakes this time as she crosses through, but then looks like she's powering out.
Again, looking at her hands, potentially some skin issues today. Not quite getting along with the conditions, maybe the humidity. You can tell an athlete so fine-tuned to their climbing. They'll know, oh, is it something in my core or my shoulders, my arms that's going wrong today? It seems like as Mio repeatedly looks at her hands that she thinks it might be a breakdown in the skin and the friction.
I had Natalia Grossman's teammate, Quinn Mason, in the box with me earlier on this morning. She was saying that Natalia's skin was perfect. And that's just an indication that she hasn't fallen off very much. She's done these boulders so quickly, she's not using a lot of skin.
Exactly. That does make such a big difference. If you've had 20 attempts in semi-finals, even if you still made it in first place, well, you wouldn't quite make it in first place, but you were much more tired then for the final round.
Oh, there she is, the lady with the good skin. And she'll need it for this climb. Can she jump above Hannah Moyle? Natalia has a certain grit when it comes to boulders like this. She can dig deep. She tries harder than a lot of athletes out there. I mean, obviously all the athletes are trying hard, but she can find a different level of suffering almost out there on the wall.
Beautifully put, Matt. Beautifully put.
So, left hand up. Quick work at the moment. High right heel to chalk up.
Natalia has such composure and such ability to think about different methods on this angle and style of climbing. She really does show her full skill set here.
Having to work now though, and this is the big move towards the left, gets it easily. She's in second at the moment. This will jump her up, let's see. Up she goes, holds the swing and another top. So, we are refreshing scoreboards, finding out. And it has jumped her up the leaderboard into first position. So the race between her and Hannah Moyle is really on for this 4th boulder.
It is really, really on. The difference is 1 part count back, but it right now is just 1 attempt to zone.
Oh, what a climax to tonight's competition. Remember, tomorrow is the men's semi-final and final. Same format as today, so semi-finals around about 11 p.m. Central European time and the finals 8 p.m. Central European time. So let's see a replay of this from Natalia.
Look at this. She's just pulling on these 2 very bad holds. Later finds the toe hook, but just showing how great her skin, her friction is, but her sense of balance that she can hang in the perfect position underneath those slopey crimps.
Yeah, flick out with the legs. Good work from Natalia Grossman. Did what she needed to do, and that is the hallmark of a champion, you got to say. So a confirmation of the leaderboard. Natalia Grossman, Hannah Moyle, Miho Nanaka are our top 3. Miho Nanaka will be battling Jelu Lau for that 3rd and 4th place.
They both are trading with 1 top each. Anon as well, but she has much more attempts.
So this is where it all comes to a 4. Boulder number 4.
I do think this could really split up the number of attempts that athletes are taking on the climbs, because this first section is very high risk. You stand into this double press and then a dynamic move towards the zone. Triple clutch is the intended method. And again, another one of those very difficult, bring your hips up through the two positions that your hands are holding onto the wall. So we're gonna see that skill set utilized again. Very bad crimp at the top, pointing completely the wrong way. And then most likely a jump to the finish.
Yeah, and the 3 slopey holds in the middle are very slopey. I mean, you were saying it's only the angle of the wall that really makes it even possible to hold on to them.
You would never try if they were just on a flat surface. Never.
So, Anon on her final boulder of this evening. And that clock just frozen. It will be ticking down, I promise you. I'll try to get that working again soon. Anon in 5th at the moment. She stands up, flicks up, but a no-go on that first go.
Such a difficult first part. And stand into this press, not a movement climbers are used to doing. We're used to pulling our arms towards our body, not pressing them away. And then of note is that both the holes that you're pressing on are on the left. So you have that lock on the left side of your body. Unfortunately though, you have to release the right side, press even harder to keep that foot from swinging away and put it on the next hold.
So she's done with the press section. It's double clutch or triple clutch, even as you said. Go on, explain triple clutch.
Triple clutch. It's interesting as we've evolved this new style of movement in climbing, and essentially the perfect triple clutch is where you have to grab one hold, grab a second hold, and grab a third hold. But you're not actually able to hold the first hold or the second hold independently. You can only hold the second and third hold together, but you can't jump directly to it. So you have to generate force from that first and second hold to get into that final position of the triple clutch. You can always add more clutches. I don't know how possible it becomes after a while, but I do believe we've seen a quadruple clutch in previous competitions. Very impressive to watch. They're basically just tapping the holds because they have to go with that initial momentum that they drive with their hips.
There's always the debate, isn't there, whether it's parkour or climbing. I think it's a bit of both. Look, it's comp climbing, it's different.
It is very much different to outdoor climbing. I've also found it quite interesting. You see athletes now going to the outdoors and developing new climbs that they may have, previous generations may have never seen before because they just never practiced this style of movement.
Yeah, that's a good point. Any sport on the upper echelons start to push the development, it filters down, and yeah, you're right, we're seeing more and more dynamic outdoor rock climbs. So Anon has 1:25 on the clock. She stands up again into this press position, and she isn't making this jump work at the moment. That X, by the way, on the hold doesn't indicate anything, it's just part of the design. Someone was asking a question about that earlier on for the semi-finals.
It's definitely not the best place to grab the hold.
No, don't go for the X. X does not mark the spot. So Anon, 1 minute on the clock in her first finals. She's done well. Great for a top for her on that boulder 3.
She'll be trading for places with her teammate, Serika Okawachi, who's going to fight for 5th and 6th place in this competition.
Anon is getting closer, but you get that feeling nearing the end of a competition that the power, the precision might not be there.
It seems like she's just not quite finding the ability to get over that right foot and then jump completely high with that leg. She needs more height to get up and have a chance of reaching for that third hold in the triple clutch that she's attempting.
Team Japan is screaming their support. She's not going to be finishing before the end. 14 seconds to go. It would be great to see her zone here. Up she comes, closer and closer with that left hand, but that is it for her. Anon will leave us. She does need to go backstage now. She'll be coming to the athlete holding area to watch the end. And darkness is descending on the stadium. Lovely full moon here tonight, casting its light over us. Perfect temperature for the athletes to perform in. T-shirt weather, but the nice cool breeze coming through.
So how it stands, if Sekira finds a top on this hold, then she will bump her teammate out of 5th position. We have seen it's a very, very difficult climb, and these athletes are getting very tired now.
So can Sarika Okawachi upgrade her score on this final boulder? I want to see someone get into those slopers because they are horrible holds.
Horrible, horrible holds, but I think the next part looks even more difficult.
It's always a risk to put a boulder this hard and physical at the end of a finals.
Very risky, very difficult, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see some people get up there.
Yeah, we'll see how good Natalia's skin really is when it comes down to it. Missing that right foot a few times. Interesting. I thought she was resting there with that palm up, and I think she was just eyeing up the movement.
Doing a really good job of putting her hips into the wall, which means there'll be less pressure on the palm, more on the feet. But when you're in that fully extended position, you've got less drive to the right that'll take you on top of the foot that you can jump with. So sometimes it might be a bit of a rest, but you're actually worse off for the jump to the right.
So gets set up, the neck craned back and upwards, misses the left.
You can see on her face she found some purchase on that left hand hold, which shows a bit of excitement. This might be possible. She is going to have to jump higher in order to get through. There's no pull downwards on that left hand hold, there's only pull acrosswards. Crosswords, that's not really a word, is it?
It's good enough. I know what you mean. 90 degrees of that neck. It's a really strange position to be in looking upwards. But it shows how overhanging it is. It's hard to tell from some of these angles, when it's, especially when it's straight on. It looks quite flat, but it's very steep.
It's a very, very steep part of the wall, which they have manipulated a lot with the volumes, which is interesting. This kind of cave they've almost created, so you can throw your body weight in between and stand on feet and use very bad holds. Otherwise, it'd be completely impossible.
Ah, makes it work this time. Right, we're into the zone. And these are the bad slopers, but she's doing quick work of this, but this end is tricky. It's the wrong way around. It faces an awkward direction. She's crimping the top of it, but it's more of a sort of a Gaston side pull. Working the left feet up and the right in. Frog squatting down. She's one move away. It's going to be a big snatch. Drops it at the top.
What an unfortunate drop. She does have time for another go, but she's been through so much just now. I think though, with over a minute on the clock, she looks excited. She's stretching for another attempt.
Yeah, she's up for it, isn't she? There's no sense of rest. She's immediately trying to de-pump. I think she thinks she's got this.
She'll be very excited. It's such an exceptionally fun boulder to climb, and often that is what's in the athletes' heads. Many of them, maybe they're not calculating the scores. They don't know what the next athletes are going to do. They just want to climb the boulder.
Well, she has a chance. She's got a minute, and she made quick work at the top of that. But this is the crux, this jump, it seems. Oh, I can't find the left. I mean, it might not be the crux of the boulder. We don't really know yet.
Don't know yet, but she found it with that single jump to the two different holds, really able to compress between those and find some friction.
Flying backwards, looks like she hurt herself a little bit on the way down there. She's still going, 25 seconds. Are we going to see?
Last boulder of the day, you may as well throw another attempt in.
Absolutely, is it going to be right on the buzzer?
She does, she makes the triple clutch method as well. 10 seconds left.
Right, 10 seconds is going to have to be a big move here. Comes up with the left hand. Watch those feet, it popped before. 4 seconds, 3, 2, no, not quite. Fantastic performance from her there, smiling all the way through as well.
Wow, she looked like she was even having fun at the end of this intense final round. She seemed like quite happy there.
Great end to a comp.
So good making that first method stick. You can see as she swings out right, able to get some force on that left hand hold. But in the later attempt, she went for the triple clutch method. Maybe it just felt a bit more natural for her.
Zhelu Lau is back on stage. 4 minutes on the clock, her final boulder and her first competition.
Be interesting to see how she approaches this, because she's kind of become known for finding more static and secure methods, but I don't think there is one on this first move.
So pressing down her own knee there to get the right position, and a huge jump out and right. Coming down hard, our cameraman there to capture that fall. She's fourth at the moment, but there is a possibility for her to go up into third, we think. We're checking the stats on it now, but Miho is not guaranteed a podium position. Zhelu Lau stands up tall, pressing into those yellow dish-shaped features. And now this is the big jump. It's taken the athletes a few attempts to get their eye in, get the muscle memory sorted.
Found a bit of purchase on that left-hand hold. You could see there, that's what we've kind of got to know her by. She got into that position and she reversed and she thought for a second. She thought about the best place to be to create force and jump up to the right.
Yeah, look better. Will this be the attempt? She's certainly taking longer to think about it. I think she knows she's close and will rest a little more. Sometimes athletes will almost sacrifice goes in order to understand the body movement required. Right foot out on that nubbin, and perfect this time, and then moves that right hand over.
Very smooth triple clutch there. See that right hand catching and grabbing.
So she's setting up for a big move, rocks into this awkward left hand, and now she needs to press with the palm, bring the right foot up, or just jump. Either one will do. She presses, standing up tall. We're going to see another top. I tell you what, that is a fantastic way to finish, putting herself right up there in podium contention. As you can see, jumps Miho Nanaka, and Miho Nanaka will be out soon to try to get her podium place back.
Miho is going to have to find a top if she wants to get back into third place.
So, drama to come. 3 athletes left here tonight. Hannah Moyle is fighting Natalia Grossman, and Miho Nanaka is fighting Zhelu Lau for podium positions. Let's watch a replay of that. So out she came, she set herself up for it, paused. That was the triple clutch Nanan was talking about.
Such perfect movement. You could see all the force as her body swung to the right. Her right hand didn't need to pull or do anything, so she could casually just put it onto the next hole, which is a really perfect display of dynamic coordination technique.
Hannah Moyle has had an almost flawless finals so far. Does she have the power? Does she have the, I was about to say springability, it's not a word, but you know what I mean. Is she jumpy enough for this middle section?
She is one zone attempt behind Natalia Grossman. If Hannah Moyle can find herself a top without Natalia, then she will be putting herself in gold medal position.
Calculators out, everyone. This is going to be a close end to this final. Hannah, as we've seen before, goes for the jump. We've got a lot closer than her first attempt.
It's almost a bit famous in the German style of climbing to have these dynamic balance movements, the double, the triple clutches. So Hannah won't be a stranger to this.
Yeah, it makes quick work of it. Second go for her, and then moves into the slopey part, and that's a good angle to show how slopey there are. Now we know the beater, left foot in, left hand high, and turning that final hold into a side pull, using the edge of the wall, clever to get herself positioned. She can do that. There's no black tape to stop her. And there is the final dish. Hannah trying to find the balancing point, gets it, and will match, putting herself in a great position.
Very, very impressive from Hannah Moyle. Getting that right foot all the way up by her hand, using her flexibility, and she has definitely solidly put herself in second place, potentially in first.
So the pressure now turns to Miho Nanaka and Natalia Grossman. Remember, Natalia Grossman could challenge what we've just seen. Let's watch a replay. Hannah got set quickly, made it work second go, no problem with the top section. As we thought, that first jump proving to be the hardest move on it. There's our top. And Hannah Moyle takes a moment before turning to the crowd. All her hard work paying off here tonight. So Miho Nanaka knows what she has to go. She wants a podium place. She's currently not in it in 4th.
I do believe, though, she can find herself atop in 4 attempts. She will be looking at that 3rd place.
She won't necessarily know all this, remember. She's been backstage. All she really knows is she has to do everything she can. So pressing up into the top. Right foot out on the nubbin. Sets herself for the spring, gets it, first go, and triple clutches through.
Amazing, amazing to be able to do such a dynamic coordination movement first try. Such good technique, but can't quite find the pull with that left heel, and she comes off the wall.
You could see the moment. She wasn't quite balanced on the wall, brought that left hand up and peeled off backwards. Did the Hannah Moyle style bump with the left hand.
This has been type of movement that has really thrown so many of our athletes in this competition. The style of climbing that the route setters have utilized to really twist up expectations and mix up the field.
So Miho Nanaka on her 2nd go. Blue hair matching the blue uniform of Team Japan, who are out in force here tonight. Up she comes, perfect once again. Now, this was where she fell before.
Keep an eye on that left heel. That's where she's getting the power to hold her into the wall.
You can see chin bouncing against it. Awkward move, but again slips off the top.
Very, very unfortunate for Miho Nanaka. Just seems like her hips are a little bit too far out because of how bad this hold is, because you can't pull down at all. You need to be directly underneath into the wall in order to get some purchase and move forward.
Jaelu Lau, remember, is in current 3rd position. Miho needs this in order to get on the podium.
She's had 2 of her 4 potential attempts. It is very high risk now.
Well, Miho is no stranger to these moments. She's been on the biggest stage that climbing has to offer at the Olympics. She's a regular on the World Cup scene. If anyone can do it and pull it through, it's her. So as she moves into the final section, watch this heel, watch this left hand, and she's changing it up slightly.
Different idea.
With the right hand. Now, this is frustrating for us because we know that left-hand method is the one, but she's obviously thinking it's not going to work and is trying to bring the right through.
Yeah, that is the whole point of the isolation format. You don't see what other athletes have done, and so as you're attempting this, you've no idea if it's possible the way you're doing it.
Drama with a minute to go.
1 minute, 1 attempt if she wants that 3rd place.
So our 3rd place, our bronze medal is going to be decided in the next couple of seconds. Miho, gets the jump again. Now, left hand, right hand, heel hook. What is she going to choose? Goes for the original method. Left hand. Looks like she's going to go for a big move. She's eyeing it up with the left. Right, in now. No, and drops it again at the top.
Drops it again, and she knows now that her chances are gone. I think she might go in for one final Hail Mary attempt, but I do believe she's lost her podium place with that final slip.
Well, this is it. She might not know that she's lost it as well. Right, up she comes. She'll want to top it out for glory here. 10 seconds. Come on, Miho. Eyes it up, takes this moment to breathe. That chin pressing into the wall. It's more solid this time. 2 seconds to go. Watch the clock. 1. She's going to be timed out. Who cares? She'll top it out anyway. Hangs off with one hand. Oh, she needed a few more seconds there, but she will stay in 4th, which means that our 16-year-old debutant, Jaelu Lau, is in 3rd place.
Wow, really amazing. I have actually seen Miho do this before in the past in other competitions. Pull on, break through a crux as the buzzer goes off, and she just keeps climbing. And actually a famous moment where a judge was screaming at her to get off the wall, but no, she wanted to get to the top of that climb, so she kept going.
Yeah, I like to see it. I appreciate it's not official rules, but it is nice to see. And that's the offending hold. It's thin, and she just got over the top of it. There's no purchase that last time, though. Perfect. That says it all, doesn't it? That movement, if only she's thinking. Right, so Miho's done. And now, let's work out our gold medal position, shall we? Natalia Grossman is currently behind Hannah Moyle because she hasn't climbed yet. The mysterious hand moves to one side as Natalia runs onto the stage.
Looks like she's going to have 2 attempts if she wants to get to the top in that first medal position.
Natalia Grossman can get another gold here tonight. If she's got silver, she won't want that. How quickly can she work this out? There you go, that's what she needs to do down on the bottom right. Oh, and she slips! Big moment for Natalia. The smile still on her face, though.
Wasn't able to activate on that right hand hold. She placed it perfectly, but you could see how slopey it was. It just dragged right back out.
Yeah, she'll give that a good brush, not leaving it to the brushes. She wants to do it herself. The athlete's in the habit of doing that. During Corona, it was the rules.
This is potentially her final attempt for that gold medal position. Hannah Moyle never have been on the edge of her seat more.
Yeah, Hannah will be watching this, and I'm sure she'll be supporting Natalia, but a gold medal is on the line, and this time Natalia makes the right hand stick, chalks up. Still possible here for this gold. Gets the left, she reads it exactly as it should be, comes the thumb in. This is where Miho had problems. No such problems for Natalia. Pressing with the palm, but now it's looking awkward. She's a long way to the left. Foot slowly, uses the inside sloper, then switches to the outside. One move away. Natalia Grossman tops out, and we'll wait for confirmation. And there it is, Natalia Grossman in first position, gold medal, followed by Hannah Moyle in second, and Jailu Lau in third place. Wow.
That
Danan, what a final.
Amazing. I don't know if you caught in that final position. As she had the bad hold, she thought to step back and twist that left foot out of a heel into a toe so she could turn around more. Hope she hasn't hurt her shoulder a bit there, grabbing that top hold.
Aches and pains. Natalia Grossman takes gold. What a way to end tonight's final. She just goes down to the front stage, holding her neck, as you can see. There's a slight tweak on the way down. She'll be helped. Oh, what a finish from Natalia.
There's that slip. It seemed like maybe that right hand was a bit too high. There is a slight change in the angle of that hold where you can get more purchase. The next turn, though, she fixed that problem.
Yeah, that was the top. Great finish from her.
Looking comfortable on that right arm, so I think she might be all right. Just a bit of a tweak in the shoulder from potentially trying too hard or pulling.
Well, that's the confirmation. Natalia Grossman with 4 tops in 6 attempts takes gold medal. Hannah Moyle from Team Germany is in second. And Jailu Lau from China in third. Drama at the end with Miho Nanaka. Anon Matsufuji and Sarika Okiwachi are final places.
Devo ringraziare 2 persone per cui che hanno lavorato per questo evento, ma soprattutto devo ringraziare 2 persone.
So in a minute, Danan will be going down to interview Natalia Grossman. And right now, the athletes will get introduced onto the stage where they receive the flowers and the adulation of the audience. Our announcers have done a great job all weekend, calling out the information to the crowd. You've just watched the women's final here in Brixen. Tomorrow it's the men's semi-final and final. So our MCs announcing our top 3. And a packed crowd here staying around to watch the finalists. men's final tomorrow will be an exciting opportunity. 20, of course, make it through from a hectic qualifying round that took place yesterday. And this enormous wall, 35 meters long, and it's permanent, so you can come and climb on it when there's not an IFSC competition taking place. A curtain or doors close it off in bad weather or in winter, and in summer it opens up so you can come and experience climbing the outdoors. And imagine there's a crowd. That's what I'd be doing anyway, getting my gold medal. And that's where the athletes will arrive. You can see them setting up the podium on the right. Natalia Grossman, what a performance from her. She had all of the pressure coming into this weekend. She's won so many in a row. And that can become quite difficult if you're on a winning streak like that. You don't want to stop winning.
Oh, very much a lot of pressure. I did see her in isolation during semi-finals before, and she was in her own space. She had her headphones in, and clearly she has to keep calm and collected in order to perform at the level that she is performing.
Not quite sure what's going on here, but it's a hive of activity out on the stage. Maybe that's one way to get to the top of the routes. Banned probably by the IFSC, but
not quite in the rule book.
And off the ladder goes again.
Yes, the technical delegate has decided that there is an issue with this, and it's not allowed.
Well, here are our top three. Jielu Lao from China in third position. She will pick up the flowers. What a first finals from her. Still a little smile out to the audience. She will be one to watch in the future. Hannah Moyle gives her a hug. Second place for her, and I don't think she would have dreamed of this moment coming into this comp.
She is very, very happy. One of my favorite athletes to watch climb, because she always has the biggest smile when she grabs a top hole. And so you can really tell that she is grateful for the experience she's having.
And Natalia Grossman, well, she battled with Hannah Moyle all the way. But she will take another victory, another gold added to her collection. And of course, in Innsbruck next, it's lead and boulder. And Natalia is another one to watch for the lead, so she could be adding more medals to her collection in the next couple of comps. And we will be there, of course, in Innsbruck, watching all of the action. Boulder speed, paraclimbing, and lead taking place. They look to throw their flowers into the audience and celebrate their success. Climbing is about many things, but gear certainly is exciting. But what do the climbers bring to the wall in those bags they carry onto the stage? Well, I caught up with Quinn, who was my co-commentator earlier on, to look at the kit that she has in her collection. Welcome to the comp hall here in Brixen, South Tyrol, Northern Italy, and I'm here with Quinn Mason, who's just been doing a commentary with me in the box, so thank you very much. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you for having me. It was a blast to get to commentate all these strong athletes.
Yeah, it was a good one, so make sure you go back and watch that. But we're talking about gear now, the kind of gear that you bring to a competition. So I'm presuming that, well, let's talk about shoes first of all, because that's quite important.
Yeah, I usually bring 2 pairs of shoes to a competition, which I think most athletes opt for now. With competition-style boulders, there's just so many different types of terrain that we're getting on, so having more than one shoe for more than one type of climb is the best. So I have my stiffer pair of shoes here. These are La Sportiva Squamas, and my slightly softer shoe, the Theories, and I can alternate in between them. Yesterday in the qualifier, I switched to these at the last boulder because there was a super small hold and it's hard for me to stand on them in my soft shoe. So I keep both with me at all times.
So you got the shoes, you're prepared for that regardless of the boulder. And then bag-wise, I'm interested because I've seen a lot of Team USA athletes, Natalia, Brooke, carry on a different bag.
Yeah.
Why and what's going on in that bag?
So we bring our backpacks just to bring all the stuff that we need, essentials, into ISO. And then after that, most of us bring a little tote bag so that we can bring our extra pair of shoes out, our extra chalk, tape, whatever. There's so many things that can happen out there while you're bouldering, and sometimes you need to switch shoes. Sometimes you need to stop a bleed quickly, so you have what you need in that bag to keep it.
So what is in that bag? What's the vital? What's some weirder things that you maybe bring?
Things not quite in the bag yet, but I think people don't get to see the behind the scenes a lot. A lot of athletes like to listen to music, so I have my MP3 player, and then of course essentials like Advil, painkillers, and all that. I use a spray to clean my shoes, which is really important, and then super glue is good for skin. When you have really bad skin and you need to tape, sometimes you add the super glue as extra layers of protection to help it stick.
So the spray, is that just water in there?
It's actually rubbing alcohol, and so the rubbing alcohol, and then when you wipe it off with the towel, it just completely cleans the bottom of your shoe, and the shoes can get really dirty, as you can tell, like filled with chalk. So cleaning that off makes them really nice and sticky.
That's genius. I've never heard someone say that.
Really, yeah, it's a good trick. It's a good trick for sure. That's also why I don't have one with me, but usually bring out a towel to the boulder, set it down on the ground, and wipe the shoes off on that. That's like a slightly quicker fix, but then the shoe spray like really gets your shoes super clean in between boulders.
Anything else? You've got a very strange looking device I can see.
Some recovery in between boulders. I was using this yesterday. Just like when you come back in, your arms are tired, you can just sit there and like work them out a little bit. We can't have our physios back there to work on us in between boulders, but sometimes things just aren't quite feeling the way you want them to, so you like have something to work on that. Some people use the massage guns in the back of ISO. I've opted for this fun contraption.
It looks good. It looks very techy. And you've got a book in there.
So my book is my journal. I don't always use it. Sometimes though, if you have a lot of thoughts when you come into ISO, it's just a great way to put them all in here and then like kind of tuck them away, or write down positive things to keep with you.
Okay, so it's not you remembering the experience, it's you sort of dealing with the thoughts that are going on in your head.
Yes, yeah, and then it changes, like sometimes maybe I need to write down things that I want to remember to do while I'm out here on the mats completing the boulders and all that, yeah.
Well, Quinn, thank you very much for the sneak peek look at your bag. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I've certainly learned something with that rubbing alcohol. Hope to see you back in the commentary box soon, but ideally semi-finals and finals.
Hopefully. I hope to be there, yeah. A lot of comps coming up for me, so.
Well, look, best of luck with the rest of the season. See you guys in a bit.
Natalia Grossman, 4 gold medal wins in a row now. How does that feel? A lot of pressure, or grateful and excited for more?
I'm really grateful and excited for more. I feel like at least during the qualifiers and semis rounds, I had like the most fun I've had in a really long time, and it felt really good to compete without pressure again, because in Salt Lake I felt like I had a lot of pressure. Hannah definitely kept me on my toes the whole finals round, so that was kind of fun and like dealing with the pressure, but I'm glad I was able to keep it together.
Fantastic and so well done. Now we have our first lead climbing competition coming up next competition in Innsbruck. How are you feeling transferring, getting ready for that?
We'll see. I feel like I've been focusing mainly on boulders this year, but I'm very excited just to get the opportunity to compete in lead, because I love lead climbing, and yeah, I'll see how it goes.
I'm sure you won't be that bad. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Thanks to Natalia. Wonderful win from her. Now, of course, a big part of any athlete's preparation is the coaches, and often the coaches aren't related to the athletes, but there's one very special climbing family where the athletes and the coaches are all related. So let's hear from Stasha, Geo and family.
My name is Stasha Geo. I am 24 years old, climber from Serbia, and I travel the world with my parents, who are my team since I was a little child. So this is my mom, Vesna Pavlovic. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
And this is my dad, Slobodan Geo. Hi, Dad.
Hi.
And he's the coach, and Mom is the physio, and we traveled together since I was, 11, 10 years old. I had a few comps where I went without them, mostly the Masters, not that serious comps. And I must say, it feels kind of empty. You know, when you're a child who is a competitor, it's kind of tricky. You always need some rest from your parents. You're like, Mom, Dad, just don't bother me so much. And then when they're not around, you're like, I wish there was someone with me, you know? So I must say, it's a winning combo. Do you agree, Dad?
Yes, I agree. This time, this is very, very long time, and the traveling with the Stashas of competitions all the world. And I have experience for 2 teams with the 10 peoples, and this is horrible, hard job. I remember many situations. I was disappointed. Who is my child? This is stupid. What to do is sit down home,
Watch TV.
watch TV, play football. But after all, I live third life on my life. This is really, really fantastic period with Stasha 12 years traveling around the world and win a couple of times.
Okay, enough. The season's been bumpy. It started really well, and then it kind of stumbled in the US. That setting, that's the circuit. One day you'll be flowy on the boulders, the other day you're just gonna get stuck and not know what to do. This one looks like it's gonna be a flowy one. It went pretty well today, and I'm super excited for tomorrow because I believe this will be my competition.
I believe.
Thank you to Stasha. Unfortunately, it wasn't her competition, didn't make it through into tonight's finals. But I tell you what, I could tell you some stories, which I will not on air, about Stasha's dad. He's an absolute legend. And that family, coach and a dad, it's a hard balance to get, but certainly working for Stasha. Dad, you were down interviewing Natalia. I mean, it's always difficult to get an immediate impression from an athlete about how they're feeling, but how did she come across to you?
She was excited. She was generally very grateful, obviously very, very tired.
Yeah.
We sort of pull her out from the final boulder, hand her a microphone and say, okay, get ready. But yeah, how she talked about how she was really grateful, even after so many dominant wins, but very aware how close Hannah Moyle was to her in this competition. So she'll have that athlete's name on her mind in the future.
Yeah, and Hannah, coming into this competition, I wouldn't have necessarily have listed her as the athletes to chase Natalia. You know, Hannah's had a fantastic comp, but almost from nowhere it seems that she's really got to this level to be pushing for a gold medal.
Yeah, really interesting to see, and I think particularly in this style of boulders that have been, she's just found a really special way of figuring it out, using her advanced technique to get up and find new solutions. I think a lot of the climbs she did today, she did it in a different method to other athletes.
Yeah, it was a great performance from her. Awesome to watch, and I'm sure she'll watch it back and be proud of herself. Well, the dignitaries come out on stage, as well as our top three. There they are. Now, this is the proper podium. We had the flower ceremony earlier. And Natalia will be very used to this position. Both Hannah and Jielu Lau will not be so much, but keep an eye on both of those athletes because I think we might be seeing more to come from them. So she stands up for the first time in an IFSC competition, and she's on the podium straight away. What a way to kick off your account. A bronze medal for the Chinese athlete.
With the level of competition there is nowadays, that is truly amazing. And furthermore, our next athlete also an amazing feat for a first final.
So Hannah Moyle gets to stand up and receive her silver medal. Loving the moment, and so she should, fist pumping in the air. She'll take that medal and treasure it for a long, long time, but I'm sure many more will be added to her collection. She's just coming into form, she's 21. Well done, Hannah Moyle. And finally, Natalia Grossman has dealt with all the pressures of being the favourite coming into a competition. She was flawless through most of it, didn't drop a single boulder in qualification and semi-finals. And when it mattered, when the moment came in the finals on that last boulder, she dug deep and found something special to stay on the top spot. Dominant so far. And as you said, the lead season coming. It's going to be good.
It's going to be very, very exciting. She didn't want to boast too much, but I think we'll be seeing some special stuff.
Yeah, Janja Garnbret, of course, returns for the lead season, so these two will battle it out again on the wall. So we'll now wait for the national anthems to be played. And Natalia can celebrate with Team USA, who's in the crowd. Are you watching at home? And our audience here today. let's listen to the anthem. Congratulations, Natalia Grossman. Dannon, we get to do it all again tomorrow for the men. Another round and something you're looking forward to?
Very much looking forward to. I want to see how this interesting style of setting that has mixed up the female field so much, what's going to happen in the male field?
Absolutely. The route setters have so much real estate to play with on this wall. For the women, they chose mainly to go for the overhanging physical boulders. I wonder if they'll change things up and give the men a bunch of slabs.
Yeah, we will see, because they did have to use different space on the wall when making the original set. While we do have the competition over 2 different days, the original set was actually done at the same time. So we will see a very different layout and choice of angles on the wall in tomorrow's competition.
Well, that's all waiting for us. For tonight, we'll say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching this women's finals. We will see you for the men's semi-finals and the men's finals tomorrow. Have a lovely evening, everyone, and we'll see you soon.